Surely. He's going to go off the edge just a little bit, I think. That nade! The nade! It's so strong!
And Woods, Weather Balloon's up here with the shield now. He's got two. He gets killed by UC Death, but UC Death redeems himself, catches out the final beginners. And Boss Fight take the first.
I can go anywhere I wanna go. I can do anything if I put my brain in the matrix. In the matrix, in the matrix, in the matrix, in the matrix. Matrix, and the matrix inside the matrix. I can lay bricks or I can take pics of animatrix doing insane flips. I can fight an octopus in my Oculus. Ain't nobody stopping us. Go.
It's your man, Pooh Nanners, your Texas caster and hype master.
And the casting red panda, whose name is not Amanda. I'm Sleepy.
Always bringing out the good jams. And speaking of good jams, we got a handful of games. It was a short weekend. You know why. We'll get into it later. But first, let's talk about Cats and Hats versus Cold Steel. This was a challenge match between two new teams, and it was a pretty close, albeit uneventful match. As usual with newer teams, they have yet to iron out some tactics and positioning with strong communications, but they'll get there. They'll get there. There was, however, a fantastic nade that shows the importance, yet again, of spacing.
And that is right. And in tonight's first clip, we start with what appears to be a good setup for the Cap here on the objective. Nice smoke placement, and then boom, Nink's Dragon with a beautiful nade to catch a clump of attackers with their pants down. And that stops the Cats and Hats push there pretty quickly.
Yes, and the Cats and Hats were able to win 10-8, ultimately taking 2 of the 3 maps over Cold Steel. Cold Steel have this very fancy hand-drawn logo. Thank you guys for getting us a high-resolution version of that one. Speaking of resolutions, it doesn't have to make sense. Blitz versus Reavers. This is a match that it could have been an equal matchup, but if it wasn't for the fact that legendary reservist and team captain came out to help Blitz. Lionheart, that's right. The Jordan of Jordans, the man that has single-handedly, I would say, on every team that he has subbed in for, they've won. So he really just put like an entire lion-sized paw on the scales to shift things over to his team.
Yeah, he does a really great job as a reservist. And Lionheart, who, well, he should be called the Grim Reaper, as he charges into the cargo hold objective on Tanker and map number 1. He's going to pick off one in at the door, barely missing another defender as he enters. He's going to stall around, do a little dancing here. He'll pick up another one.
There it is.
There it is. He'll check behind him, finds one, gets lucky.
He's like, not
he
today.
His weapon, and then finally trades for the 5th enemy to clinch the round for Blitz. Again, pretty much just carrying. Then in our next clip, the Reavers are on the return trip trying to claim that same basement objective, and an unfortunate blunder is going to set up the scene for Lionheart and his Death Sickle, a.k.a. his knife. You'll see here, he sneaks up behind them, says, I'm going to do this. I'll pull out my knife, and he's going to grab 2 in this great play on the cargo
TF2
objective.
spy moves.
Then for our last clip, in a last man fight for life for Marsoc, a nade that has never before been seen nor thought possible will come flying in here, roll underneath the tank, and catch J-Money.
That is not how tanks work.
Yeah.
There's a small gap under there, though. So, it's going to happen. And it did happen. And it ended up going 12-2. The Reavers are not going to forget that match. Hopefully, Lionheart takes a break. We did talk about earlier about, what team would he ultimate play on. I had said, Blaze, since they've been up and coming, I'd hate for them to lose any of their players. But if they could find, whatever their lowest stat player is and put Lionheart in there, they might have real contention for that crown. Although I think they believe that they could take it on their own, and that's entirely possible. What do you think, Sleepy?
Yeah, I don't think Blaze really needs to do too much with their roster right now. I think if anything, they should lock it down and keep that solidify it.
Keep that Inferno scrimming going too, right? Where they could keep challenging each other and get better.
Or just scrimming in general. I mean, those guys have been very busy. Noman, he's been stepping it up in the casting side as well, but from what I hear, they're stepping it up on the playing. So it makes sense why things have gone the way they've gone. And speaking of that, let's talk about this.
Yes, Blaze versus G-Men, a match expected to be close, but went largely in favor of Blaze, interestingly enough. Considering that G-Men barely beat SMC Tactical earlier this season, it's entirely possible that if we see Blaze versus SMC, that Blaze might actually end up taking it.
I would definitely agree with that. And we're going to start out our clips here on Quarantine. And Swooty's going to grab the booty of Prefontaine as he's going to defend the push from the south. And then from off screen, you'll see a beautiful nade come in from our buddy Noman as he finds Swooty and gets the kill. Then, towards the end, upset over a match full of technical issues, G-Men show they're still good sports and decide to have a little fun at the end of the match with Blaze in a game of pistols only for the final 2 rounds. And as you can see here, things go from calm to crazy in about 3 seconds flat.
Yeah, man, it gets real wild, real in a hurry. Oh, man, they're just trading the kills back and forth with pistols, keeping those guns reloaded. Pistols only is a tradition that dates way back to the early games where you spawned with the weapons that you needed. I think as early as, I want to say, the original Counter-Strike.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of those things that reaches back quite far. And in the Onward community, it's just kind of a fun game mode that we always have. And then finally, in our last clip, fueled by his frustrations, we see G-Men's captain, Biggie Smalls, get very anti-Canadian as he revives his enemy Noman, only to put one in his forehead again.
Oh, that's so angry.
Yeah, that's a great clip for the VRML vault, and a funny way to end the match. Even Nightfire got a little sassy because he felt that G-Men were just kind of giving away the points to Blaze, but the G-Men played what they wanted to play, and of course, as you could see, it looked like they had a little fun. So. Well, that's all that matters. Tech diff aside,
everybody brought the game that they were willing to play, and Blaze ended up winning that 12-6, taking all 3 maps. And as Buxton had written for us before, he said, does that mean they'll be able to take SMC Tactical, or are we gonna have to wait and see after the newly introduced bugs get ironed out? Well, speaking of ironing things out, that's right, segues that don't have to make sense because who cares? All right, boss fight versus beginners. It's a faded matchup as usual. These are top 2 teams over in EU. Very early on in VRML history, boss fight was above beginners, and it's been kind of duking it out ever since. It's always hard fought between their different tactics coming out between them as they try to take each other's place. And this was a neck and neck match between the entire season until they went to the fateful final match. Our final map. There were interesting map picks from Boss Fight as well. It was interesting that Suburbia 2 and Tanker, 2 of the least played maps in that league at that division, and they took it to this high-level game. The balls on these guys.
Yeah, they definitely brought out some high-level tactics. In our first clip from Suburbia 2 in the first round, as Icy Woods from Beginners rushes in from off-camera and right by Weather Balloon to revive his teammate upstairs. On his way back out, Weather Balloon opens up from the desk behind his shield. He misses, but then Kev rushes and gets killed. Firing frantically, Weather Balloon has to make a magical reload to get that last kill and claim round 1, but woof! As you can see, that was crazy. Then Boss Fighter counting their lucky charms after this save. Starts out going well as UC Death finds a nice frag to down a member of the Beginners, but he quickly gets revived by his brother and then runs out to check spots, and it finds one member. I believe it's Scooby-Doo. Icy Wood's going to find him,
if there's
push right onto the objective for the cap, and has all the time he needs, 5-6 seconds there until Scorpio finally rushes in. Saves the day for Boss Fight.
Yeah, man.
In this next one, we saw this one at the top of the show. We start out with a nice grenade from Weather Balloon as he pushes up to the center house stairwell. Unfortunately, UC Death is going to confuse him for an enemy and will kill Weather Balloon, but he immediately redeems himself by getting the last kill to clinch map 1 for Boss Fight and sort of get the ball rolling for them. And last week, we talked about buzzer beaters, but this week, Hoochie UK has taken the buzzer beater, clutch beater trophy and snapped it in half. We can see him sneak up here, get the code in at the exact same time that he not only gets shot, but also runs out of time. He gets 2 points and puts Boss Fight in the lead for map 2.
Talk about down to the wire.
Whew. Beginner's going to start out this next clip with some very nice teamwork, suppressing Weather Balloon's building and breaching in. Well, Weather Balloon seems not to really have any idea what's going on and pops out to find two waiting for him in just the next room. With our next clip, we get started on map 3 with some chaos as bodies drop left and right on Tanker. A very rare team kill comes out from Beginners, and UC Death tries to capitalize on a somewhat risky push to get the res, but unfortunately his gun goes click-clack, and he misses his window. As Dr. K finishes him off and wins the round, he lets off a chuckle in disbelief as that snafu turned positive for them. In the next clip, the fog rolls in, or the smokes, I should say, and they're bounced in as the Beginners put some impressive smokes out on the center deck objective. And then out of nowhere comes a wonderful airburst that catches out 2 on the objective. As this next one kicks off for us, we can see what appears to be an impressive push into the cargo hold, but kills are traded left and right. Finally, it's all up to Scooby-Doo to save Boss Fight's life in this map. He finds 2, claims the round with a trade for the last kill on the attackers. Then in our final kill, we see Kev teach the Beginners a long-lost lesson about spacing. He starts out downing a member as the Marsoc team clumps up, and just after the Beginners get the res, an amazing grenade comes out here from Kev, getting 2 instant kills and downing one to be quickly finished up with a double tap. And as this easily earned the title of this week's Nade of the Week.
Yeah, very easily Nade of the Week. Man, Nade of the oh, dude. And the team that you get that on and sealing the deal, just, being on the receiving end of that could not have been any fun either. But, I mean, hey, if there's one way to go, each of those maps going 3-4 at the very end. I mean, the total number of points accumulated, 10 to 11. Beginners only giving up that one map, the first map, to Boss Fight, 4-3. But oh, man, that was an exciting match, as evidenced by the amount of clips that we pulled. I'm sure if Buxton had the time or had more resources, he would have probably pulled another 10 or 12 clips. Absolutely exciting matches, always to watch these guys. We do love watching the up-and-comers, too, so don't feel like you can't submit your clips for the up-and-coming matches. We do love to see those. We know you guys don't get casted a lot. That's why we're accepting as many casters as we can get. Speaking of changes in rosters, though, the development team had some changes, right, Sleepy?
Absolutely, but before I talk on that, I just want to jump off your point there. We also don't mind POV shots from your personal streams. If you have an amazing play that you know that you committed in a match, send it to us, clip it, send it to us, please.
Tweet it, man.
We will use that too. I mean, if it's impressive, it's impressive. It doesn't have to be from a caster's POV. It can always be from your POV as well.
We've pulled those, yeah. Where people have direct message us or send it through Twitter, they give it to us and we throw it up on the show. So
absolutely.
So back to the original point, though. They made some changes to the development team. I don't know all the changes that have happened. I know James is no longer on the team, right?
Yes, there have been some changes. A few members of the development team that were devs are no longer devs. No real information has been given, but in a post from Dante, it seems that there's no bad blood whatsoever. So my guess is people have different things going on in their life. Maybe things just weren't meshing out too well, but
or maybe
it sounds like things were on an amicable level when the split happened. So we'll see, but I know, and they've promised that they will continue to work hard on on this game that we all love so much, and we can only do nothing but appreciate that. So sorry to see them go, but excited to see where the future of Onward is nonetheless.
Yeah. So speaking of the future of Onward, we're taking a week off due to some tech issues. I know Sleepy has been pinged a lot over this. We tried a rollback. A rollback didn't quite pull out. There's a sit rep that came out earlier today. They're actually going to link our video once we're done about the sit rep. But it's just, they're going to try to figure some stuff out about the bugs they introduced. We were really excited about the new update that came out. There's a lot of new things that we wanted in it, but it did introduce some unforeseen bugs that have to be resolved. And this is just the nature of development, so we'll be able to solve that problem. Well, they will. We'll just sit by and play the game until we find the problems. I know a new update recently came out, so we're going to get in there and test that one as soon as possible to see what happens, or just jump on the Discord and see what people are saying before we try.
Yeah, that's it exactly. I mean, the mods have been trying to pay attention to the channels in the Discord as much as possible to listen for folks complaining about what bugs might still be there after this most recent hotfix. and we know that for the most part, the major issues have been taken care of. We did notice some caster side improvements that need to be fixed, but we can hold off on that. We can always manage our own scores.
It sounds like you're like removing all the casters. Well, the last piece of news that we have is Parsifal's back in the league as a member of SMC Tactical. I think moving their roster up to 11 people, so good for them. I'm just kidding, but it's good to see our Parsifal getting a chance to play again on a team. And that's the last of our news we have right now. If anybody else has any more news, please sure to send us. But first, thanks to all of our players and viewers for supporting the show. We get more support every week. We love all the information we get from people. As Sleepy and I said earlier, please send us those clips. Feel free to show us some love in the comments below if you have any suggestions for us, things you want us to do, or just particular things that highlights that you liked, or other clips that you feel like we could have included in the show. It will be in the comments so other people can actually get links to your Twitch clips. So that's a great place to drop them.
Yeah, do keep those clips coming, folks. We are always looking for more great highlights. So the more you can send us, the more we have to work with, and the more we can develop this show even further.
Yeah, so again, I'm Poon Anders, joined by VRL mod, caster, and former dangler Sleepy.
That's right, Poon Anderson. This show was brought to you by VRespawn.com, your only source for VR esports news. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on the most recent news.
Yes, this episode was written by Buxton, a man with a voice that everyone cannot help but hear and immediately assume he knows what he's talking about, so I don't question him. And directed by Triple Nipple, who's doing a great job controlling all the little cards and all the little levers below, so I don't have like a laptop here and I'm over here just like looking around. And it looks really clean with him actually handling it, and including... Speaking of clean, the graphics provided by Z-Man, our motion graphics extraordinaire. If any of you guys have higher resolution logos you want us to throw up here, or if you have some motion graphics that you want to feature on the show and be part of the production team, come join us. It is open. We are a very inclusive group. Send us home, Sleepy.
Absolutely. So thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got some ideas on a special show for next week to help deal with that anxiety of the week's hiatus from these last update woes. So be sure to tune in again next week. Good night, everybody.